Well, hi there, food friends. It's Kevin,
Hey there, I'm Ralph behind the camera.
and welcome to Cavalcade of Food.
What is today's episode?
Today, Ralph, we're going Polish. Polish meatballs. And people might ask, well, what's Polish about these meatballs? Well, all I can tell you is this was my Polish grandmother's recipe that she made, and the meatballs that my mother made. And so it is sort of a tradition in our family to have these meatballs for holidays. And we're getting ready for Easter. Now, I know this is not going to air until after Easter, but we're here the day before Easter, and we're getting the meatballs ready. And the reason we do it a day in advance is because, Ralph, you have to mix everything up, the meat together, and put it in the fridge, and it needs an overnight 24-hour little stay in the refrigerator.
Like almost a marinade to absorb the flavors?
Yes, exactly. It allows all those flavors to meld and sort of to get the right texture.
Got it.
Now, here's the other thing about these meatballs. It helps to know your butcher, and I would say that for pretty much anything if you're buying meat. Because in this case, what you want is, this recipe is a combination of two different meats, pork and veal. And what you're looking at here, Ralph, is 2 pounds of pork and 1 pound of veal ground together twice.
So that's where the butcher, knowing the butcher comes in.
That's where the butcher comes in. Now, if you grind your own meat, no problem. You can do this yourself. But you want, if you can, I don't know if you can see, Ralph, this is a very fine grind. Okay, very fine texture, which is what you want. Now, I know that some people don't care to eat veal, and you could do this with just beef instead if you wanted to.
Or you could just not tell people what's in it.
Well,
just
I
kidding.
mean, this is the recipe. This is how
I know you got to follow the rules.
Especially, back in the 20s and really even in through the 70s, veal was more common. And now, actually, it's, you don't often see it in the stores.
Is it more of a luxury?
I don't know if it's a luxury. I think it kind of got replaced by chicken, more chicken and other things.
That became more common?
And so I think, too, some people have issues with, veal is from a young calf, and so some people don't like that. So anyways, this recipe is our traditional family recipe, which, again, 2 pounds of pork and 1 pound of veal ground together.
So to follow Mom and Grandma's historical recipe,
right,
do it this way.
So all we're going to do today, Ralph, is we're going to mix this meat together, okay? So we've got our meat in the bowl, and I've got 4 eggs here. And what I'm going to do is just kind of give these a little beating with a fork, and we're going to add that to our mixture.
So you're really just breaking up the yolks, and you're not like whipping it.
No, not necessary. We're just going to, try to kind of get it all combined. So we've got 4 eggs in with the meat. Then I have got cornflake crumbs here. Now, you can buy cornflake crumbs already made up. They sell them where the breadcrumbs are and stuff in the store.
And they're just
you
called
can make your own if you have cornflakes.
Is that what you did?
And you need, yes, and you need a cup and a half of cornflake crumbs. My brother and I were talking about this, and it's like, well, what if you don't have cornflake crumbs? You could use a panko breadcrumb. But the reason I think Grandma used cornflake crumbs was for both the flavor, because you're kind of getting the, the corn flavor, and the texture that it gives.
So were you saying you could actually buy them in the store, and are they called cornflake crumbs?
Yeah, Kellogg's makes them. They're called cornflake crumbs.
Oh, I never noticed
and
that.
And they're already, they're already crushed up like this.
All right,
So we need a cup. This is a half cup measure, so I need a cup and a half
Oh yeah, I can smell the distinct.
You can smell the
cornflake.
corn, right? Yeah, that's
Yeah, like
that's
that.
it. So it's part of what you want.
Yep.
Now we've got 3/4 of a cup of milk. Okay.
Whole milk,
Whole milk, 2% would work too. Be all right.
but nothing less. No skim.
Nope. And then I've got a packet here of dry onion soup mix.
Oh.
So you know what you'd use to make like the dip, right? With the
Right.
sour cream.
The classic
right?
chip dip.
So we're going to put the packet of onion soup mix in here, and it's really dehydrated onions, beef bouillon, seasonings, things like that. All right, now the only other thing we need is salt and pepper, which I'm going to put here. But we need to grate 2 onions. So here's what I've got.
Well, that's just great.
We're going to grate these 2 onions, and when I grate an onion, I cut off the stem end and I leave on the root end, because this kind of keeps the onion together when you're grating it. So I cut that onion off and I peel the outer, layer, and then I just leave that. Then just get a box grater, and we're just going to grate these onions. And this is a way to kind of get the onion in a very
Pulpy.
soft, pulpy way that will really mix into the meat. You could dice the onions, but they would really be too chunky.
And they wouldn't.
And you don't want that texture.
Yeah, plus it wouldn't give you as much of that onion juice.
No, you're right. And, that onion juice is a lot of flavor. So I'm going to just grate this
I
down.
was going to say, how far do you go before you start worrying about your knuckles?
Well, that's what you got to watch. When you get down to the end here, and I got the root end right there. So we're just going to get down as much. You get. I also find that I don't get so tearful
When you're grating them?
as cutting them.
So you have to do 2?
So I have to do 2, but let's just show our friends. Here's 1 onion, and it's almost like you said, Ralph, like a pulp. And you see that juice, that liquid? We're going to put that in there.
Right, good.
Okay. And then I'm going to grate up. Let me grate up the other onion. I'm going to add my salt and pepper. Do that to taste. And then we'll come back and get it all mixed up. And then we're just going to put it in the fridge. And tomorrow we'll make up our meatballs and cook them off.
Sounds good.
All right, Ralph, so here we go. I am using my hands. I've washed them. They're nice and clean. And we say this all the time, how our hands are our best tools.
The first invention.
Right.
The first tools. But I also have heard, and I know you observe this as well, that when you're making a meatloaf or meatballs and things that have breadcrumbs and other ingredients like that, it's important to just do it enough, mix it enough to get the ingredients integrated, but not over mix, because then it makes them too dense.
Yes, or it toughens it. So what you want to do here, of course, just like you want to mix enough so that everything gets incorporated as evenly and distributed through the meat mixture as possible. And unlike, say, maybe something that might be a coarser grind, since this is a fine grind, you kind of have to get it in there a little bit, and not only mix, but almost do a little squeeze as you're bringing everything together.
But see how he's putting his fingers at the bottom and pulling it up, and just kind of making sure that you can visually tell that everything's integrated, that there aren't clumps of onions or clumps of egg or something. And those are the original mixers that good
Believe
Lord
me,
provided
this is
us
how
with.
Grandma did it.
Yep.
And this is how Mom did it.
And what did my grandpa used to say? God
invented fingers before forks.
That's right.
And Grandpa was right about that. So, the other thing too, with allowing this to sit a day in the refrigerator, is that not only do the flavors meld, but it really gives a chance for the meat to absorb the milk, the those cornflake crumbs get soft.
Which I can really smell. I really
Yeah.
recommend doing the cornflake crumbs, not panko or anything else, because boy, you can really see how that would flavor them a specific way.
Yeah, we were talking about how originally we, adding breadcrumbs to a meat mixture was a way to stretch the meat, to increase the volume. And it certainly does that, but it also really changes the texture.
And the flavor.
And it's usually the breadcrumbs and then some kind of liquid, whether it's eggs or whether it's milk.
And I'm sure you've heard of recipes for meatloaf, for instance, that call for oatmeal to stretch it out. So this is for if you don't have a lot of money and you have a big family and you want to make sure that your
Got a lot of mouths to
your
feed.
meatballs or your meatloaf are really getting most economical and well,
Ralph, can you just grab that bag and kind of open it for me? So I'm using a Ziploc bag here.
So there's my hand. Hi everybody, and I'm doing double duty, holding the bag open as best as I can. Well, Kevin.
I know. Did I get you a little bit?
Oh no, okay, that's all right.
So-
You could use gloves if you were squeamish about getting all this meat on your hands.
Yeah,
I've seen
could.
people on food shows where they use those dumb gloves.
Well, sometimes too, people are. Make sure your hands are clean though before you start mixing them. Wash
Obviously,
your hands
for sure.
If those of us who, if you're in the kitchen a lot, you should be washing your hands a lot.
Yeah, and there's
just-
like they say too with you don't want different bacterias mixing chicken and meat, poultry, and different types of meat.
So, anyways, we are finishing up phase 1 of our Polish meatballs. I'm going to seal this bag up. I'm going to put it in the refrigerator and let it hang out there. And then tomorrow we will get it out. That meat will be so well seasoned and flavored, and we will
Form the meatballs?
Yep, we'll make our meatballs, and we will go through the process. I'll tell you, this recipe also does call for cream of mushroom soup. We often laugh and call that Polish gravy because we use it in a number of different dishes like city chicken and some other things. But you'll see how we do that tomorrow.
Can't wait.
So, all right. Thanks, Ralph, and we'll be back tomorrow. And we're going to, for step and day number 2, we're making Polish meatballs for Easter.
Welcome back, food friends. There's Kevin washing his hands, which is always good to do. And
Trying to be a clean teen.
we're getting back to part 2 of Polish meatballs.
Yeah, it's been really 24 hours, Ralph. Maybe even 25 hours. But I'm going to put this meat in the bowl just to make it easier. Now, take a look what we got here. Everything's really absorbed. And, oh, can you smell the onion?
Yes, and the soup mix. Remind folks what's in there.
Eggs, milk, cornflake crumbs, a pouch of onion soup mix, salt and pepper.
And onions.
And onions, grated.
Right.
And it's 2 pounds of ground pork with 1 pound of ground veal. And I had the butcher grind the 2 meats together twice because we wanted it fine. Now what we got to do, Ralph, is I got to shape these into meatballs. To me, this is about the size.
Okay.
Okay? Maybe about an inch. I don't know. They're all going to be a little different.
That's how you know they're homemade.
But that's kind of generally the size that I like. I would say almost a golf ball, maybe a tad smaller. So, you can do it how you want it, but this is kind of the size that we've always used. How many you get out of this batch, I can't quite remember, but it's enough to feed a crowd, okay?
Yeah.
At the ready over here, Ralph, you see I have a pie plate with just flour, okay? Just plain flour in it. And once I get all these meatballs rolled, I will then roll the meatballs in the flour, and we're going to put them in a pan to brown them with a little oil.
Okay, so just flour.
So just flour. We don't need to even season it. These meatballs are very well seasoned.
Yes.
They're very flavorful.
Can't wait to try them.
So let me finish getting these balls rolled, and then I'll start flouring them, and we'll come back and get them in a skillet on the stove just to get a little color on them. And then after that, they actually bake. So we brown them, and then we bake them.
So a couple of pinches turns into a golf ball sized meatball, and there you have it.
Yep. Well, all right, Ralph. We are all rolled here with our meatballs.
Looks like you got quite a few.
I got 54, as a matter of fact. So, again, I'm just rolling them in plain flour, and we're going to put them in a skillet here.
With a little more than, I don't know.
Just enough vegetable oil on the bottom to sort of cover it. This is not a deep fry. This is a brown, okay? A sear.
A browning.
A browning, exactly. So that's all we're trying to do is brown these. And so you just need a little bit of oil on the bottom of the pan. We don't want to crowd it.
And obviously you want to make sure your oil's hot enough to start with.
Yes. So this is kind of on a medium-high heat.
You can hear the sizzle.
Yeah, which is what you want. Now, I'm going to keep rolling here, but on the side, I have a roaster pan. And so, you want to talk about a mom and grandma special.
Yeah.
Right? The old enameled roasting pan. Still the best. They still make those, by the way.
And came in handy for a lot of different meals.
Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how often I use that thing. Pot roast, stuffed cabbage, city chicken, you name it. Pork roast. Anyways, once these are browned, then I'm going to transfer them into the roaster. Okay? I have got our beautiful avocado green 1968 GE range preheating to 300 degrees. And I'm going to finish browning these, and then I'll come on back and I'll show you. There's one other step before we put them in the oven. That's very important, actually. So
we'll come back and do the meatball two-step.
Yep. I think that's a new dance.
Almost smells like city chicken.
Well, city chicken is pork or pork and veal as well. And it does get browned before it gets baked.
So these go directly into the roaster?
Directly into the roaster.
And then you'll add water or tell folks what the next steps are.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I got a couple more batches to do.
Wow.
So here's our roaster with
the browned meatballs.
The browned meatballs. And now, before we're gonna bake them at 300 degrees for an hour.
Because they're still, even though they look done, they're really not.
Yeah, no, they're not really cooked all the way through. They're just browned on the outside. We'll remind our food friends right now that the recipe is in the description under the video, so all the steps are there. But what we do now, Ralph, is, I use this roaster. I could fit them in a smaller roaster, but in multiple layers. You kind of want as much as you can one layer as possible. I've got a few here that are on the second layer, but what I'm doing now is I'm adding water into the roaster pan. And we're going to bring it up. We don't want to cover them, but we just want to kind of come up to the tops.
Of the first layer?
Yeah, of the first layer, okay? I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but that's kind of where we are right there.
Yeah, I think it's picking it up.
Okay, and then I got one beef bouillon cube. Just one. And I'm kind of cracking it up a little bit and spreading it around and putting that in the water. My grandma, my mom, they love their bouillon cubes. Oh my gosh. So we were never without them.
That was an early life hack.
Yep. So, okay. Done. It's important, though, that you've got the water in here because we are going to, this water, of course, is going to bake with these meatballs, and it's going to get highly and deliciously flavored. And we are going to use this water to make the gravy, okay, along with the cream of mushroom soup. So, let me get my top. Let me open our 300-degree oven. And these, again, are going to go in for an hour, okay? And when we take them out, we'll make the gravy. So I'll put an hour on the timer, get a little cleaned up here, and we will have our Polish meatballs for Easter Sunday. So Ralph, the meatballs have been in the oven an hour, and I think, oh, that smell. You know, isn't it funny how like just a certain smell can just take you back in time?
Right.
You know,
of
that
course.
was like Grandma's kitchen, Mom's kitchen. And so we're gonna put these out. Put them here. Now, we're getting close to the end here. I know there's a lot of steps, but believe me, it'll be worth it.
Wow.
So here's our meatballs now. Aren't those beautiful?
Beautiful.
Now, what I'm going to do, using a slotted spoon, is I'm going to take these meatballs out of here. What we want, Ralph, is that liquid that the meatballs cooked in.
So it's water that was infused by the flavor of the meatballs plus a crushed up bouillon cube.
Plus a bouillon cube. And so what we're going to do, I'm going to get these out.
And when they're all out, you'll be left with just the water, which you'll add to the mushroom soup?
Yeah, so here in the saucepan, you can see there's 2 cans there of cream of mushroom soup. So that's going to be the base for our gravy.
For the meatball gravy.
Yep. And yeah, these are, you know, these are such a tradition. And we were talking about, you had asked me, you know, is this something that you just, is it a side? Is it a main course or what? And for us, meatballs were always a main course, although often served with other things. So like as an example, you know what's on the menu today, Ralph, besides the meatballs?
It's a Polish Easter, so I would say Polish sausage.
Yep, so kielbasa, smoked and fresh, pierogi,
and also some
kapusta.
kapusta, which is, like I've always said, I didn't think I liked it till I had Kevin's recipe or his mom's, which I've always loved.
Cucumbers and sour cream.
Traditional.
And rye bread and butter.
But we would like to actually, we were talking off camera, and I said, when I was asking Kevin if this is considered an entree or a side, and he said an entree, but I was wondering if any of our Eastern European or Polish friends that may be doing, or may think of this as, you know, one of their traditional dishes, if they also do it just with the gravy, or do they do it over noodles or some other way? So if you,
right.
If you have any ideas of or any thoughts on that, send them to us in the comments section.
Yeah, you know, and you could definitely have these over noodles. We'd often serve them with, you know, some kind of potato, which we're going to have today too. So look at all that good stuff there, Ralph.
Yes.
Okay, so all of that, and I think
You're kind of breaking it up.
Breaking it up a little bit. This is all going to go in here.
That's going to flavor that up so it's not just no longer just simply a canned mushroom soup. It's got your homemade touches now.
Now then I'm going to take a whisk and we're going to bring this gravy here up to heat. And then I'm going to give it a little taste and see if it needs any. Well, with canned soup, you almost never need to add any salt. I may put a little pepper in it. So we'll check that. And then we're going to pour this back over our meatballs. So let me get the gravy all set. And we've got our meatballs there. And we'll be back.
Who's stopping you? My stomach says go, go, go. Well, how is it?
Delicious. I'm going to give it a little sprinkle of pepper, though. I think it's plenty salty enough. And now, you can, again, this was 2 cans of soup and the cooking liquid from the meatballs. If, depending on how thick you want it, I want to thin this out a little bit. I'm going to add just a little bit of water to it so that it just thins out a little bit. But, you know, this already, you can see it has little pieces of mushroom in it. Let's see how that is. Yeah, that's about right. So, about 1/4 cup of water, and we'll get that there.
Because you want the meatball to be the star of the show. And
exactly.
You don't want the gravy to be too thick or overpowering.
But it's nice to have the gravy. So, yeah, if meatballs are something that you would normally say serve in over noodles or something, then you'd want the gravy, of course.
Have at it.
So, all right. So now what we're going to do, Ral, is here's our meatballs. And then I'm going to get a spatula. And we are going to...
I'm going to pour it right on.
Pour that gravy in there. Of course, we want all of it. There we go. You want that gravy to just coat those meatballs. Now,
how now, brown gravy?
So let me get a couple of meatballs out of here
for the taste test. Ooh, and I see a couple of forks. That's always a good sign. I'll let you go first.
Okay.
Might be too hot for me.
So let's get a look at the inside of that meatball.
What do you think?
Isn't that beautiful?
Is that the right color?
Yes.
So it'll cook for an hour. So I mean, even though it looks a little pink, I'm sure it's right. Is it taking you back?
Yes. Tender. You get the onion. And it's really the combination of the pork and the veal.
Does it take you back to remembrances of things past?
Yes.
You're
getting the
full flavor, yeah.
Yeah.
There's
delicious.
Something very unique about the combination, the simplicity really of the onioniness of it and the pork and veal.
Absolutely.
The cornflakes.
So good. I think I might have to get into this other one. So you can see, Ralph, where you could easily put a few of those away.
Yeah, easily.
But try another. I want to express how tender these are.
That's the word, yeah.
They really are
Light.
light. They're not a heavy, meatball. There's really a beautiful lightness to them.
They are not dense. They have a great flavor. The texture, they almost remind me of, I don't know, like just a meatloaf in a ball.
Yeah. Mm. Mm.
I think he's happy.
I'm very happy. And again, this is, for me, this is very much a flavor of Easter's past. And in my family, these are Grandma's meatballs, or in some cases, Auntie Mary's meatballs, because my mom made them for a long time, and delicious. So, I think this is probably not going to get to our food friends until after Easter. So if you celebrated, I hope you had a beautiful holiday. And of course, we always love having you with us in the kitchen here at Cavalcade of Food.
Whether it's Easter, Passover, or Ramadan, they all came together this year.
They really did. They all kind of came together in a wonderful way, and we thank you for joining us. Remember the website, cavalcadeoffood.com. Recipe is in the description below. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and you'll be able to
spread the word.
Spread the word, and more importantly, get notifications when a new video comes out. But we thank you.
Remember, food is love, and we love food.
We sure do. And we will look forward to seeing all of you again real soon, right here on Cavalcade of Food. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.